Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael.
So let's get started. I'm the president, Ambrose Richardson, the president of the Lower Manhattan Historical Association, celebrating 400 years of history in this incredibly important part of the world. I'm a little bit humbled today in that we are honoring the American Jewish Historical Society, which celebrates a few millennia of history, but we get to incorporate some of the wisdom of the past in our own history here. The celebration of the first Jewish synagogue in North America in 1730, the Mill Street Synagogue. And Zach Enninger, who is here today, made me realize the importance of this because the congregation arrived in 1654 and were tolerated, but until 1730 they didn't get to worship publicly. And I said, oh, that's a big deal. The second thing is we celebrate the principle of religious tolerance, which I think is one of the gifts of America to the world, you know, championed by George Washington and Gershom Mendes Seixas. It's one of the things that allows civilization to continue and prosper, and we're proud to present that the award here and to keep that principle in mind. I want to introduce our council member from Council District Number 1, Chris Marte.
It's great to see so many friendly faces and some new faces. Wow, 294 years. You know, when I was thinking about this event yesterday, I was thinking about my vision of what I thought New York City and who was in New York City 294 years ago. I was thinking pilgrims, Puritans, but I wasn't thinking religious Jews. I wasn't thinking African Americans, right? These are happening every single day in our schools where they're not learning the appropriate history of our culture and our heritage, especially here in Lower Manhattan. And so especially today when we see darkness all around the world, it's really important to understand where we come from, who we are, who we want to be, and what this city represents to all cultures. And so that's why I'm here, because it's really important to continue to remind ourselves that this city was built on religious freedom, this city was built on diversity, and this community was built on that as well. So thank you.
I want to introduce, you know, the inspiration for this ceremony, Jim Kaplan, co-founder of the Lower Manhattan Historical Association and our chairman. Jim?
And one of the things that I learned was that the first synagogue in North America was not the Toro Synagogue in Rhode Island, which I and most other people thought. It was really right here in Lower Manhattan. And the other thing I came to realize was that the leader of the Sheretz Israel throughout the Revolutionary War period, Gershom Mendes Seixas, was very influential with the American Revolution. He was a close associate of George Washington and influential in the development of religious freedom in this country. And those were all eye-openers to me, and I thought, gee, it's really too bad that people like my brothers and sisters don't know more about these people. And, well, you'll see there's a plaque right there, thanks to Scott Reckler, Mendy Braun, and my friend Arthur Piccolo, who was instrumental in getting the plaque put up there. But now at least there's a plaque. And beyond that, it was our decision in the Lower Manhattan Historical Association, whose job is to educate people about the city of New York and things that other people may not know, that we would give the Gershom Mendes Seiches Award. With that, I'm going to, and of course this year our awardee is the American Jewish Historical Society, which I think is one of the leading promoters of Jewish history in the United States and in New York particularly.
Good. Next I want to call on our good friend Zach Ettinger, who's the sexton or shamash of the Shearith Israel
Thank you to
Congregation.
Jim Kaplan and the Lower Manhattan Historical Association for conceiving and putting together this now annual event commemorating the first synagogue in North America, the Mill Street Synagogue, and its famous minister, Reverend Gershom Mendes Seiches. And we are honored to participate again this year. I want to start by saying kol hakavod and congratulations to Gemma Birnbaum and the American Jewish Historical Society. I don't know where she is. There we go. On being awarded the Gershom Mendes Seiches Religious Freedom Award. The American Jewish Historical Society is a world-class scholarly institution. Their archival records are an incredible resource that help illuminate the tapestry of American Jewish history, and personally is a resource that I use almost weekly. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. These are the words of the First Amendment and the core of religious liberty in this country. They were enshrined as a Bill of Rights in 1791. The freedoms that our Constitution affords us were in no small part influenced by the rights fought for and won by the Jewish community in New York. Long before the founding of the United States, the journey towards religious freedom was marked by incremental progress, one through perseverance and resilience. The AJHS, the American Jewish Historical Society, was founded in 1892 with the object, and I quote, to collect and publish material bearing upon the history of our country, and that the objects for which this society was organized are not sectarian, but American. In its founding, the AJHS wanted everyone to understand that the study of American Jewish history was indeed the study of America itself. And so it was not until 1730 that the Jews were able to build their own synagogue right here on Mill Street. That consecration is an event which we are commemorating annually at Shearith Israel on the 7th day of Passover, and which we commemorate here today. We must give thanks to the American Jewish Historical Society for preserving that history so that it can be studied by academics, and so that the inextricable links between Jewish history and the history of America not be forgotten. I could close here, but there is one more element I would like to emphasize: the spiritual. For the Jews who worshipped here on Mill Street, and for Gershom Mendes Seiches, and for many others who advocated for religious liberty, what they were fighting for was the ability to openly practice their religion and to attend services in the denomination of their choosing. Our gathering here today not be limited to remembering the past or even preserving its history, but let that history inspire us to exercise our own religious freedoms today.
Bill Tinglin, our past awardee, is here.
We are the present that lives in the future. I ask of you, always remember who the Jewish people are. The synagogue started right over there. And we represent what was and is and yet to come. Do you ever forget what we're doing in regards to the Jewish entity, the leverage of bringing together the confluence of the Jewishness? I ask of you, always remember, yes, we live in a parallel world. It is said that in the existence nest of a good seed, next to that good seed is another seed of its own destruction, wanting to destroy it, and that is what they want to do to the Jewish people. So we live on today together with the Catherines and the James and the Ambrose to let yet live the Jewish entity of what we are and what we do. Thank you.
Let me call on Peter Hine, who's the president of the Sons of the Revolution of the State of New York and secretary of the Lower Manhattan Historical Association, to give the award.
Pleasure on behalf of the Lower Manhattan Historical Association to present our Gershon Mendes Seixas Religious Freedom Award to Gemma Birnbaum, Executive Director of the American Jewish Historical Society. We recognize the role that both Emma individually and the American Jewish Historical Society as an institution play in promoting religious freedom. You've already heard about their extensive historical collection. It goes back to 1654, which is, of course, of special significance because that is when the first Jews came here to what was then New Amsterdam. American Jewish Historical Society has focused in particular on the Emma Lazarus Project, which explores the story of Emma Lazarus, a fifth-generation American Jew who was caught in an important turning point in American and Jewish history. So, Gemma, please accept this award, and we welcome a few remarks.
Thank you so much to the Lower Manhattan Historical Association and to everybody who came out today. I'd say it's a really beautiful day in spite of the rain. A little bit of a memory because of the rain. Feels like a metaphor for Jewish history in general, if we're being honest. When I was a kid, I can remember the first anti-Semitic incident happening when I was 5 years old. And my grandmother later telling me many years later that to stay alive and to do what we do is an act of revolution because there are so many people who don't want you to do that. AJHS celebrates history of Jewish people in the United States and around the Americas through the lens of our own stories. It's not told through the people who have oppressed us, and I think that's really important. It's empowering, and that was what we were founded in 1892 to do, and that is the great privilege that we and our staff over there have to do today, and they do it very, very well. I want to thank them for coming out here in the rain with me. They look very happy to be here also. So thank you.
Next on Rabbi Nisi Aber, Jewish Learning Experience, who practices downtown. Rabbi Aber.
Thank you, Ambrose. One of the most important streets in Jewish history in New York that people walk by every single day and literally do not know the importance of this street. And then a year later, thanks to Arthur, put up the beautiful plaque right next to the garage to bring attention to this important street. So we are here today not just celebrating and commemorating what happened in 1654 and then in 1730, but we are also celebrating the present and the future. To take those memories of the past that brought us here, to hopefully build a kinder and more beautiful world. And I can only respond by responding in the way of our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, through the traditions of the Torah and by the teachings of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, which is the best way to fight darkness is with light, is with love, is with more kindness and more goodness and more mitzvahs. And therefore, I'd like to conclude by saying, many of you are coming from Easter. As Jews, we're approaching Passover in 10 days. Something we should each try to do is increase in a little bit of light, a little bit of mitzvahs, a little of goodness to try to make this world a kinder, better place. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. Not doing sushi.
Carolyn Kaplan will read the letter of George Washington to the synagogue in Rhode Island. Carolyn?
With much satisfaction, your address, replete with expressions of esteem, I rejoice in the opportunity of assuring you that I shall always retain grateful remembrance of the cordial welcome I experienced on my visit to Newport from all classes of citizens. The reflection on the days of difficulty and danger which are past is rendered the more sweet from a consciousness that they are succeeded by days of uncommon prosperity and security. If we have wisdom to make the best use of the advantages with which we are now favored, we cannot fail, under the just administration of a good government, to become a great and happy people. The citizens of the United States of America have a right to applaud themselves for having given to mankind examples of an enlarged and liberal policy, a policy worthy of imitation. All possesses alike of consciousness and immunities of citizenship. It is now no more that toleration is spoken of as if it were the indulgence of one class of people, that another enjoyed the exercise of their inherent natural rights, for, happily, the government of the United States, which gives to bigotry no sanction, to persecution no assistance, requires only that they live under its protection, should demean themselves as good citizens in living it and giving it on all occasions their effectual support. It would be inconsistent with the frankness of my character not to avow that I am pleased with your favorable opinion of my administration and fervent wishes for felicity. May the children of the stock of Abraham who dwell in this land continue to merit and enjoy the goodwill of the other inhabitants, while everyone shall sit in safety under his own vine and fig tree, and there shall be none to make him afraid. May the Father of all mercies scatter light and not darkness upon our paths, and may us all in our several vocations useful here and in his own due time and way everlastingly happy.